Welcome to another video, and today I'm gonna share 3 common mistakes for every agent. If you're planning on switching mains or you just want to try some new agents out, be aware of these mistakes. You don't want to make a fool of yourself in front of your teammates. So let's stop the talking and start the video. With Astra on the attacking side, when you use your ultimate, a lot of people will use their ultimate like this. They keep a small opening on the side where you can plant the spike. This is nice if you just want to plant the spike, however, you give the enemies control over almost the whole side when the wall goes down. So instead, use your wall so your team has more control, like this for example, and then use your stars for the open spots, easy entry. About the stars, don't use all the stars at the spot where you want to push every round. Instead, maybe use 1 star somewhere else. You can easily retract it mid-round and enemies will be slower with the rotate. And in astral form, use a spacebar to go up and control to go down. It's way easier than just using your crosshair. Neon players, stop peeking out just to line up your wall. You're standing all the way in the open, instead just use your wall over things. This way there also won't be a gap at the end of your wall. Imagine you enter with your ultimate and you make some kills. When you clear the side, don't go for the long range peaks. Believe me, your ultimate is really not that good on long range. Most of the times you're better off switching to your Vandal and then go for a peak. Or of course, just wait till the enemies push towards you. Another common mistake is sliding when you know an enemy is far away. The further away an enemy is, the less effective your slide will be. This is because they have to adjust their aim less. So save your slide for close range, my friends. With Omen, if you flash a close corner, don't peek on the side where the enemy could be standing. Create as much space as possible, so instead of peeking on the left over here, peek on the right. Or just save your blind for a better moment. A lot of players are always using the Omen ultimate in the enemy spawn. Don't do this every time, it's so predictable. There are tons of better ways to use the ultimate. Use a smoke in the middle of nowhere for example. The enemies might think that you TP in it, but you TP close to it and kill the enemies who are aiming on the smoke. Or of course, lurk, and when you see the side is clear, use your ultimate to pick up the spike. And the third one might sound a bit reckless, but I think it's true. But here's some wise words from Dr. Freeze.
Don't be afraid to do dumb TPs.
Believe me, dumb TPs really work so now and then. In all the chaos, the enemies might not expect you TPing at a certain spot. So easy kills for you.
Spike down A.
Ha! Now let's talk about Yoru. One of the most common plays is to use your gate crash to the back of site, flash and then teleport. This might work sometimes, but don't do it without thinking about it first. Are your teammates close to get a refrag for example, or is there a lot of utility and chaos on the side? These things you have to factor in to get the most value of this play. Then you have the flash. Stop flashing like this. If you use the flash at this wall for example, you give the enemies tons of time to react. Always try to use different walls where the flash flashes behind you and the enemies will have less time to look away. Because you have to keep in mind, for the enemies your flash will be invisible till it hits the wall. Just be careful you don't flash your teammate. And when you're in your ultimate, give info. Talk to your teammates. Don't expect them to look at the minimap 24/7. Because most people sadly don't do that. Now the scariest agent in the game, Fate. Imagine you spot someone so you use your wolf on the trail. A lot of people will run blindly after the wolf without checking anything. Don't do this. There could be enemies standing around every corner. Mr. Lowlander, listen to your own tips please. Look how reckless I'm playing. Another mistake some Fate players make is when they know an enemy is around the corner, use all their utility on that one enemy. I mean, just using your E or Q and then push is good enough most of the time. And for all the Fate newbies out there, don't throw your octopus in front of the enemy. Yes, this thing is an octopus by the way. But instead, go for the high spots. It's time for a race. You can use your satchels for way more things than just double jumps. When you're holding an angle for example, you make a kill, throw a satchel, walk away and the enemies won't be able to refrag you. Or of course, use the satchels for an aggressive peek. But if you want to go for double jumps, the most common mistake is that people don't practice these. People say, I saw it on YouTube, I can do that. But no, my friends, just practice it a little bit. Even only 10 minutes can get you really far. Unless your name is Mr. Lowlander. Oops. And for the last one, I want you to look at this clip. Oh! Why did he not die? Yes, when you're using your ultimate, aim at the feet of the enemy. When you aim at their feet, you have more chance that your ultimate will explode on the ground where the enemy is standing. In this clip, I aimed directly on Sky, what meant the ult went past her. Sage players, don't use your wall at the same spot every round. Your wall is so good for other things, so instead of placing your wall in the tube, place your wall over here for example for an off angle. You can even kill Mr. Lowlander with it. What is up, Grimball? Another common mistake with Sage that I used to make a lot was focusing too much on your teammates. I was always looking if teammates needed to heal or needed to slow somewhere and things like that. Don't do that too much. You need to focus on your own game, my friends. The third mistake is about their ultimate. Don't just revive the first player you see. Take into account if the player has a lot of kills or not, or maybe even if his ultimate is ready. I mean, in the post plant, the Sofa with his ultimate is way more valuable than a lot of other agents. And about the Sofa ultimate, a common mistake a lot of people are making is saving the ultimate always for the post plant. Stop doing this. On the attacking side, entering with a good Wrecking Dart and an ultimate combo is very OP. You could easily make 1 or 2 kills before even entering. But if you use your ultimate for the post plant, don't make this mistake.
One enemy remaining.
In this 1v2, my teammate got a nice kill, but he was standing too far away, so he couldn't get back in time. The enemy had enough time to defuse and we lost the round. Not very smart, my friends.
Unlucky, man.
And the last one for Sofa, if you just picked him up, don't try to memorize all the complicated lineups. Instead, just learn one lineup at a time and go for some easy ones like this one. Now let's talk about Phoenix. A common mistake is using your ultimate early on and losing armor because of it. For those who didn't know, if you buy full armor with Phoenix and you die, you lose all the armor you have. So be wise, don't waste it, my friends. Another mistake is kinda the same as Neon, walking in the open just to place your wall. Don't do this, you could actually curve the wall of Phoenix, so use the curve. This way you stay a little less time in the open. And the last one, keep in mind that your molly and your wall heal you both for 50, but the molly will do this faster. So when enemies are pushing you, for example, and you need the fast heal, use your molly, don't use your wall. This next one I said so many times, but still people do it. I mean, this clip is from Diamond Elo. Like, this is what I mean. You could jump on this and then you can just like this. Again, this is Diamond and people still do this. Oh no. Cypher players, what are you doing? Don't make a fool of yourself. Double check your tripwires. Another mistake is using your tripwire, your cage and your cam all on the same spot. In my opinion, this is a little overkill. Just a one-way cage and a tripwire on one spot is good enough. Then use your cam somewhere else so you have more information about the map. And the third thing about Cypher, maybe learn a few cage lineups. I have a feeling that nobody knows any cage lineups, but they can be very useful. It's been a while since we talked about Killjoy on this channel. First mistake, retracting your bot and sentry way too late. Don't start retracting them as soon as you walk out the range. When you do this, your abilities will be on cooldown and you can't use them for the retake. So retract them earlier, when you commit rotating, for example. Another mistake that a lot of people make is trying to do a different setup every round on the defending side. Whoa, don't get me wrong, it's good to switch things up so now and then. But some setups are so overpowered. For example, this one on Ascent. I've made so many kills with this alarm bot and these nanos farms. OP setup. So you could keep those there and just switch up your sentry, for example. While on the other hand, if you for example play on B bind, there's a little more counterplay to it. So in that case, you have to switch up your setups a lot. Use your brain, I would say, if you have one, of course. And the third one about Killjoy, don't use all your nanos farms at the start of the round. Maybe save one and learn some lineups. It could be very useful. Now it's time for Sky. Let's first talk about the flash. When you use the flash, a lot of people hold the E button and stare the bird for too long. If you're about to peek, just let it fly on its own. This way you'll be having your gun in your hand when you are peeking. You don't have to wait for the animation. Way faster, my friends. When you're using your doggo and you spot someone, don't run blindly after it. You have to keep in mind that there could be other enemies standing on different spots, so be careful for that. And also, on mid and long range, the stun might work off, so maybe use a flash or something. And the last thing, work together with your teammates. Sky is one of those agents where teamwork really matters. Now let's talk about my old main, KO. When I first picked up KO, I always thought that knife lineups were pretty useless. I mean, you could just throw your knife against the wall and it also works. But I changed my mind. I would really recommend to learn a few. It's especially good for information. If you throw this knife, for example, and it doesn't spot anyone, your teammates can freely push A and flank the enemies. The second mistake is about this ultimate, and I personally made it so many times. When you use your ultimate and that last shockwave is coming, a lot of people will go for a final peek. Don't do this, just hide and stay alive. Staying alive is way more important. And often you might even be a little too late.
No. City.
What? I was in my ulti. Don't be too aggressive. And the last mistake I also showed in the short, don't use your flashes like this. When you do this, you give the enemies a lot of time to react. Try to use right clicks instead. When you got the higher ground, simply aim to the ledge, walk and do a right click throw. You can do this almost everywhere. Easy peasy kills for you. Now one for all the Brimmy players out there. Just like Sofa, don't walk away too far from the spike after you planted it for a lineup or your ultimate. You want to be just close enough so you can peek if the enemies go for a second tap. About this ultimate, what I see a lot of people doing, and especially in lower elo, is just using their ultimate and then chill for a little bit. But don't chill, my friend. Do the opposite of chilling. When you cast your ultimate, try to peek and kill the enemies while they are running away. Honestly, these type of kills are one of the easiest kills you can make. And the third one from Brimstone, what is it with Brimstone players and using all their smokes at the start of the round? Maybe save one or two or just wait a little bit till the enemy uses more util. This one for Reyna, I said a lot on this channel, don't use your flash at head level. Cast it either very high or very low so the enemy has to flick to your flash. Second thing is about their ultimate. When you first pick up Reyna, the rapid fire might be a little strange to shoot with. I've seen so many people missing all their shots, so maybe practice it a little bit in a custom game. Just 10 minutes is good enough to get a feeling, you know? And when you do this, try to transfer your spray from one bot to another bot to practice your spray. And the last one, when you are healing, keep in mind that the enemies can see you through the smoke. So don't be like the enemy of Woody. Viper players, stop using your wall at the start of the round every round. I've got a feeling that every Viper player is doing this. Especially for the defending side, saving your wall for the retake could be very beneficial. The second thing is not learning your post-plant lineups. Viper is one of the best agents for the post-plant with a smoke and a poison. So learn those lineups, you can get a lot of kills with those. But of course you have to stay alive, so the third thing, don't push in first. Stay alive till the post-plant, so don't play aggressive. Let your team push and you just use your util to win the round. About pushing, a common mistake with Jett is pushing in way too hard. Don't get me wrong, pushing in first with Jett is good because you have the abilities for it and you're a duelist of course. But a lot of people are making the mistake of pushing in too deep, pushing in alone, or so quick that your teammates still have to use their utilities. I mean, Brimstone is an old guy, take it easy my friends. The next thing is about his ultimate. I said it before, but don't stand still and then use your ulti. I mean, it's a habit because we always stand still when we shoot. But with the Jett ulti, just keep moving, you're accurate anyway. And the last thing, don't use your ultimate when you don't have to. It's better to save them for the rounds where you don't have enough money or for those nasty situations when you have an operator and someone is pushing, for example. Now let's talk about Breach. When you play Breach, don't play solo. Your abilities are very good in combination with the teammate, especially Jett, so don't push alone my friends. Another thing is when you use your aftershock, don't look away from it. Keep watching and when an enemy runs away, then you make a kill. And be careful for friendly fire. All the abilities of Breach can hurt your teammates, so really be careful for that. I got stunned so many times by teammates, it's annoying. With Chamber, there's a thing that everybody always wants to hide their traps. But you don't have to do that. Here on Icebox for example. When you hide your trap, the enemies can walk around it. So instead you could just place your trap in the middle and when it gets destroyed, you know an enemy is behind you. Another mistake is that a lot of Chamber players always use the same kind of teleporters. Only for the rotate for example, or only to reposition yourself. Try to switch things up. And the last thing, don't always buy all the shots of your Q ability. Especially in buy rounds when you have a Vandal in your hand, you're not gonna use it anyway, so save your credits and maybe you can buy the next round. And this is it my friends, a pretty long video, sorry for that. But I hope you learned something, don't make a fool of yourself and I see you guys in the next one. Peace.